All right, gentlemen, let's talk about the running backs in this year's draft. You've got some good names out there, the jobby best of the world. Tell me who you think is the best NFL-ready back right now.
C.J. Spiller, not even close.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Not even close.
It's not close.
Hands down answer.
And running back's a position where it doesn't take a long ramp-up time. I mean, you can pretty much hit the field running, and you've seen, one obvious example. You look at all the holdouts that you get with the running back position compared to holdouts you'll get at other positions when guys come to the pro game. It can derail a quarterback's entire career to have that long holdout. Whereas a running back like LaDainian Tomlinson signed about 4 days before the start of the season and went on to be Rookie of the Year and had a great season. Running back translates easily, and I think most running backs hit the ground NFL ready, pretty close to NFL ready.
Well, the Vikings have to replace a running back, and maybe they have it within the system in Albert Young guys, but Chester Taylor's in Chicago now. Do they use a pick or two on taking a chance on a guy in this draft?
Paul, talk about your guy, Dexter.
Well, he's not necessarily my guy. His name's Dexter McCluster. He played at Ole Miss. And, there are players like Troy Williamson, back when Pete was on the coaching staff, where you hear a little bit about them in college, they tear it up at the combine, and then they just emerge and ascend, sometimes into unrealistic spots, like Troy Williamson. McCluster's that guy where he's fast. We hear Brian Westbrook comparisons to him. I'm not necessarily saying that the Vikings would take him. I happen to like Toby Gerhart from Stanford if they're in a position to take him. But Dexter McCluster is a guy who's gaining a lot of steam.
He's versatile. I followed him a little bit because I'm a big fan of Houston Nutt. My cousin played for him in Arkansas years ago. And McCluster is explosive. He can do a lot of things, catch the football well. The guy that I'm a huge fan of, though, is Joe McKnight from USC. He's got a lot of ability. And I think coming out of USC, there are not going to be many comparisons to Reggie Bush. He's explosive kind of that way, a little bit different in terms of their explosiveness. I think he's a little bit better running between the tackles than Reggie Bush coming out of USC, but I like Joe McKnight.
Pete, what is the importance of replacing Chester Taylor's spot via the draft or with Albert Young, Percy Harvin, and H. Lake? When I was on vacation, he was doing the show. Darius Raynaud came on the show and said, hey, I'm going to play a little running back this year. What do you think of that, and or the importance of getting somebody in the draft?
It's gonna be harder than you think to replace Chester Taylor, not necessarily from a talent standpoint, but from what he has going on between the years. Chester Taylor is so important on third down. Why is he? Because third down is when protections are most important. You got to be able to protect the quarterback. That's when you're going to see your crazier blitz packages. And we've seen games when defensive fronts moved a lot, did a lot of different things, and it ended up becoming like as we called it, a Chester Taylor kind of game, where he got in there and made some better reads and had just a better feel. It's going to be up to Adrian to learn the third down passing game. And if he can do that, then AP is going to get 80%, 90%, I think, of the carries this year. What you have to be ready for is that if he's taken on third down, if that starts taking away from his first and second down, let him do first and second. You got to find someone to go into third. And right now, Albert Young would be the guy that I would think because of the fact he's been in the system for a couple years. It's going to be hard to find a young guy to step in on third down, learn protections, and be someone that you can count on, that you can rely upon to go against, even like a New Orleans with the blitz packages that they put together and how they changed almost their whole scheme for our NFC Championship game.
Guys, size obviously plays a big role when you're NFL ready or not, especially when you're getting banged up like a back will. LeGarrette Blount from Oregon. Off-field problems, on-field problems, character issues and all. Would you take a chance on him?
Don't know enough about him to really comment, to be honest with you. I mean, I've seen his name and where he's supposed to go. There are about 5 running backs in this draft I feel good talking about. Outside of punching that kid after the game, I'm not real sure what to say.
He's a big back. He projects into the 4th, 5th round. Big back, inside runner, can catch a little bit. But, and you figure he probably learned his lesson after he was on ESPN for 2 weeks, punching a kid after a game. I mean, and the suspension was really high profile. But most teams just won't take a chance on a guy like that, and it definitely pushes you down until you get to the point where he's such a good value at some point in the draft that it's worth the risk. And I don't see him being a Viking. I don't think he's a particularly good fit for the Vikings. I'd be shocked if he ended up here.
In terms of a sleeper pick at the running back position later on in the draft, because there's going to be some questions about the injury that he had, but Stephon Johnson, another USC running back who had the
barbell,
the weightlifting
fell on his throat.
On his throat.
That's right.
Strong neck.
But I like